Hello, my friends, and welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I'm Christine, your host, and as a fitness chef, I help women who are trying to up-level their fitness and their physique eat with great nutrition in a very simple method. So April is the month of flat bellies. We are working on flattening out our bellies and getting rid of all that empty bloat and all that good stuff that comes with the holiday times. So I put together a 3-day menu that's just rotational. So the first day, you're going to have protein oats for breakfast. The second day, you're going to have an egg white omelet for breakfast. And the third day, you're going to have oats and eggs. So it's rotational in that it has some carb cycling. It has high levels of protein. It doesn't have any of the known things that really bulk up our gut. So it's gut reducing, and along with that, I have put together a calendar of a 1-minute daily ab work. It is not your typical ab work in that we're not trying to do like a long ab exercises, but something that reminds us to tuck everything in, really tighten everything up in 1 minute a day. Now, 1 minute sounds so easy until you're trying to do it. And of course, you could always combine it with the other days, so you can make it a progressive. But at any place, this is just a place to start. And I think that is so important. So let's talk about protein oats and what it is. There's several different ways you can do it. I like to cook my oats so they're a little softer. I also like to eat them cold. So I do them the night before, and I prepare them with equal amounts of old-fashioned oats and almond milk. So I'm just gonna pour the almond milk in here with a little bit of water so it's nice and soupy, because you want it to be liquidy so that when you add the protein powder, it doesn't become a gloopy mess. I also like to add a little bit of cinnamon, because cinnamon is really good for us. So we're just gonna add just a little bit. You could add more, you could add less, or keep it out all together. That's up to you. So let me get this thing started here. Maybe, let's do like this, and like this. All right, here we go. And if you've never used one of these, it is great. It's just a portable stovetop that is induction. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stir this, let it come to a boil. I will bring it a little bit closer so you can see better. There we go. Let it come to a boil. I'm gonna get a little more water for this. Because I do, like I said, want it real soupy. And it will just take a few seconds to do that. And then I'm gonna add, oopsies, I'm gonna add a scoop of this protein powder. Now this one is a vegan protein powder. You could use a whey protein powder, knowing that sometimes whey can puff us up, and some people are very sensitive to vegan protein powder too. So you choose what you like, what feels good in your stomach. But the idea is that we have a good amount of protein and carbs before our workout. So this is our pre-workout breakfast. And then once we have our workout, we're gonna have a protein shake afterwards. Now, for the protein shake, it's coming up to a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in. For the protein shake, we're just gonna stir this together and let that come there. For the protein shake, make it easy for yourself. You can go ahead and make your shake if you want to, but what I would say is that it's very simple to get these core power and have them, or Muscle Milk or Fairlife. The Fairlife shakes are really great, and have them on hand, because if you're like me and you're on the go, it's really hard to keep them cold. Even if you have them in sort of a Yeti cup, I really like it super chilly. So this works great for when you're on the run, but again, it is your choice how you do that. All I ask is that you have a protein and carb breakfast first thing, and then about 2 hours later, so you do your workout, you have your protein shake, and then you're gonna have a balanced lunch. What I mean by balanced lunch? You want your protein and your vegetables. Okay, so 50-50. 50% of your plate is protein, 50% of your plate is vegetables. You're looking at about 30 to 50 grams of protein. So you want it to be about 4 to 6 ounces of protein. So that's what we're looking for. And then the same goes for dinner, and you're gonna have another source of protein in there. So usually another protein shake midway through there. But what we're not having is a ton of dairy. We're not having wheat. So we're not having pork. So we're reducing, so it's either chicken or it's fish or it's red meat. we're really reducing the amount of bloat that we're going to get. And I think you'll find that once you eliminate those 3 categories, you'll find that your stomach kind of releases. I know for me, I am a big bread lover. And so when I omit that for a while, even sourdough, my stomach tends to be flatter. So while I'm not looking at the scale to change, I'm really looking for that little bit thinner, tighter appearance. So our oatmeal is done. And you have an option. You can add a banana to the top. You can add a banana alongside of it. But that is our first breakfast. So protein, oats, and a banana. So a really good amount of good carbs. Okay, it's as simple as that. You could eat it just like this, but like I said, I really prefer it cold, so I do it the night before. I park it in the refrigerator, and then I can take it on the go, or I can eat it at home before I head out for a class, or whatever, because I usually teach in the mornings. Before I get my fitness on, I eat this, and then I have my protein shake, and then my lunch, and then the protein shake, and then my dinner, and I get all that protein in there, so it's really great. Let's move on to breakfast number 2. It is super easy. Some people get very intimidated by separating eggs. I don't want that to be you. Let me get a different bowl. I don't want that to be you. You could go through all these crazy separation methods, but I'm going to show you a very easy way to do this, okay? And if you get some yolk in there, it's not the end of the world. But who the heck has time to go through this? You could definitely buy liquid egg whites, but to me, they just don't taste the same. So all we're going to do is crack our eggs whole into a bowl, and then we're going to extract the yolk. So we're just going to take half of a shell, scoop out the yolk, we'll be good to go. If you have one that breaks, don't sweat it. Just take out as much of the yolk as you can and move on. Sometimes these shells are a little wonky. We want the egg whites of 6 whole eggs. Now, you can certainly save the yolks and use them for something else. They're great in challah bread, but if you're not eating bread, then or sometimes you want to give them to your pets. That's cool too. We're going to take this half a shell. We're just going to scoop it out, let the white remain. So it's a pretty quick process. And again, I really just like this better than a carton of egg whites, but you do you. If you feel like that is something that doesn't bother you, by all means, have at it. I'm only here to give you suggestions. I'm not here to tell you the exact way to do it. Don't worry about it if you need to mix things up a little bit. We're gonna have a cleanup over here on aisle 2 because the egg yolk landed on my counter, so I'll be right back. All right, I am back. I put a little bit of butter in there after I cleaned up my egg yolk mess and sanitized the counter. These things happen, it's all good. And now we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of, these are our egg whites, we're gonna go ahead and add a pinch of salt and then some black pepper because flavor is everything, all right? And then I'm going to add to this pan, because you can never really have enough vegetables, I'm going to add some shiitake mushrooms. You could take the time to go ahead and chop them. I'm just going to tear them into little pieces. We're just going to get these sauteing. You can actually start them dry if you wish. It's just like I said, that little teaspoon of butter in there, not a tablespoon, I ate a teaspoon. And then I'm going to give them a good spritz of avocado oil, just to make sure that the pan doesn't stick, because egg whites really stick a lot. And so we want to make sure that our egg whites don't get stuck. I really like mushrooms because I think they have a nice mellow flavor, but give it a nice texture as well. And since that's how we eat with texture and flavor and scent, I'm going to cover all of it. So we're just going to let those things do their thing. I'm going to add a pinch of salt to the mushrooms. Get them working. I'm going to cover them. Let them sweat out a bit. So we'll cover them and let them sweat out. In the meantime, I've got a slice of Colby Jack cheese. I'm going to use half of a slice. You don't need a lot of it, you just want a little bit so that you get a little cheesiness in there, because egg whites don't have a whole lot of flavor, and we want to add a little bit of flavor without adding a ton of calories and a ton of fat to that, because we are trying to get our bellies to flatten up, right? So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we are giving the best opportunity to do that. So we're using as little dairy and cheese as possible so that we, again, can reduce all that bloat in there. All right, I'm gonna get a plate, because this goes quick. And since I did just get back from 10 days in Florida, I thought we'd use a nice flamingo plate. All right, that is good enough on our mushrooms. We'll just move it around a bit. And we're gonna add those egg whites. I did not do anything with egg whites. I just cracked them in there. I didn't beat them, I didn't do anything. They're just doing their thing in here. So we're gonna turn this down just a little bit. This thing is very sensitive, so there we go. I'm gonna cover them so that they are forced heat and that they'll flip very easily and they don't get splattered by egg whites, because that just is not very fun. You could, of course, use a spatula, which I will keep on hand just in case it decides to be tricky. If you like them spicier, by all means, go ahead and add some spice. Sometimes it's nice to do a little of the bagel seasoning on them, just to give it a little extra. But unfortunately, the only bagel seasoning that I could find has garlic in it, and if you've been with me anytime at all, you know I can't have garlic, but that doesn't really help me at all. All right, so we're just gonna move a little bit aside, get those egg whites moving, because 6 egg whites is quite a bit. And yes, you'll be very full, but that's the point. When you're really full, you are not tempted to eat all the garbage. So we want to keep our bodies good and fueled up so that we're not tempted to have all the nasty stuff. When we have a good amount of protein and we're satiated, it's much easier to stay on the path to health. And this is a path to health. This is not a path to skinny lands. This is a path to be our best selves for as long as we can and as old as we can. You know, when I was away, I was with my aunt who is 81 years old, and you know, after having breakfast, she had to have a piece of toast and she was full. And we had a good conversation about how you can't drive a car with an empty gas tank. We can't use our bodies on empty either. So we need to fuel up and make sure that we're having proper nutrients. It isn't about how we look or anything like that. We have to have proper nutrients to keep moving forward and to help us to stay upright. Okay, at this point we can flip it over. So just gently give it a little flip. If that's not your thing, you can go ahead and use a spatula and do the same thing. We're just gonna press it down a little bit because that egg white tends to be really juicy. We want it, I like it anyway, on the dry side. I don't really like juicy egg whites for breakfast. Okay, we're just gonna separate out that cheese a little bit, pop that bad boy on there. We're gonna take this half and just fold it over. And again, squish it down. Give it a chance to brown up a little bit so you get that extra flavor in there. I like to cover it, make sure that cheese melts, gets good and crispy, and then we'll go ahead and plate that up. And that will be our second day. So again, we're rotating days. And for our third day, we have egg whites and oatmeal, so the 2 together. Now, you'll have choices, and I'll show you those different choices when we're done with this on how you want to do that. You can do them separately, or you can make a pancake out of them. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, so now we're going to take seconds here. We'll have to flip it over. And you can just give it a little flippity-do like this, or you can use your good old spatula. And you're good to go. Press it down. Now you decide how crispy you like it. I really like it somewhat caramelized, but again, you can decide what you like. Pop that bad boy off, and we'll just slide that on there like that. And our little flamingo plate. It's really quite delicious. I really like it. And let's say that you aren't feeling chicken breast for lunch, or you're not feeling turkey burger, or you're not feeling a steak or whatever. This is also a good opportunity. You can have breakfast and lunch. You can have eggs. Eggs are really a superfood. They're really fantastic. They're filled with nutrients. So don't be afraid of it. I know a long time ago, people were really worried about too much cholesterol. You shouldn't have eggs. And my older aunt still subscribes to that. But what I try to explain is that they're very digestible. They're very good for us. So really don't be afraid of them. All right. We move things out of the way here and I'll be back at you. One reminder too, I use old-fashioned oats, so the real oats, not the quick oats, okay? Because you want to keep as much of the integrity of the product as possible, so the least amount of processing as possible. You could use steel-cut oats too, but it's going to take a little more cook time. All right, I'll be right back. All right, so in here I have a half a cup of old-fashioned oats, 3 egg whites, about a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, a little sprinkle of nutmeg, and a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, so it will rise. We're gonna go ahead and heat this back up, and put it about medium. That heat up. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this again with our avocado oil, which is a neutral oil, so you really won't taste it. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of butter in there so it tastes a little more flavor. one thing I neglected to mention about this menu is it doesn't have any sugar. So that's another thing that's gonna really help us deflate that belly. Okay, so we're gonna get that all melted in there. I'm gonna pour this. Now, if you're a person that doesn't like oatmeal pancake, some people just are not really into that texture, then go ahead and cook your oats separately and do another egg white omelet. That's perfectly fine, or egg white scramble. So you could do them separately. Nothing says you have to do them together. It just makes it easier. And sometimes I like to just mix things up. I don't want the same thing all the time. So we're just gonna go ahead and pour this, and we're gonna make one big old pancake. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and spread it out. And just like we did for our egg white omelet, we're gonna cover it so that the inside cooks a little bit more evenly. And by having that amount of spray on there, it should flip fairly easy and quickly. So we're gonna just keep all this stuff over here to white this up. Now, I make this in real time so you get a chance to see the whole process, because I feel like sometimes if you rush the process, you don't really get to see how it's actually made, which is okay. I'm a lover of the reels as well, but sometimes steps get left out. And I was a long talker too, so I gotta get everything in there. But again, the whole process of this, you're getting a good mix of carbs and proteins to fuel your workouts. And so let's talk a little bit about what types of exercises we're doing for our belly. So I'm gonna give you a rundown, if I can find it, of what the exercises look like. So for instance, the first day is just a 1-minute plank. So again, it's all about keeping your core tucked in and really sucking everything in. The second one is 1 minute of glute bridges, and then 1 minute of crunches, and 1 minute of the boat pose the next day, 1 minute of bird dog, 1 minute of the hollow hold, back to the 1 minute of plank, 1 minute of burpees. So they're challenging exercises. Not that it's super hard, but that really keeps working that core. I really love Pilates for that reason, and of course I love to lift. So the combination of all those things really are gonna help us try and develop more muscular pull in, like a girdle in with our waistline, but nothing beats good nutrition for that. So let's go ahead and flip this pancake. This will be our last item on our day menu. And then on Wednesday, I will go over the lunches with you a little bit more and give you some more options. We're just gonna cook that through, and then we're gonna add a tiny bit of raw honey on that, and that is our third day. And then we just rotate through the week. So it goes, the first day you've got your protein oats, the second day you have your egg white omelet, the third day you have your pancakes, and then you have, on all 3 of those days, you have your protein shake after you work out, and then your healthy lunch, your protein shake, your healthy dinner, and so on. Our whole thing is all about creating that slimmed in waistline. And if you are part of my free group, you'll have all the directions ahead of time, and you'll have a good check-in area. And if you have not joined yet, you really should join, because we're a very cool bunch of ladies. So I encourage you to join that and my free recipe group so you get all the recipes too. And then we'll keep on moving forward towards our goal. Let me get a plate for this. We're gonna use a Happy Pirate for this one. I have all these crazy plates. All right, we're looking good. Slide that bad boy off of here, and then while it's still hot, you could use 100% maple syrup, or you could use some raw honey. Let's see what we have here. We'll use a little bit of this pure maple syrup. Make sure that it's not the fake stuff. You want the pure stuff so it's not all sugar. And when I say a little bit, just a tiny drizzle along the side here, just like that. Just enough that you get that little flavor in there. I am going to taste test it for you, because I love you. I really like it, but if you don't, again, you could do separately. And now we're awkwardly chew. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can leave a comment. You can email me at chrisnewellhealthcoach@gmail.com. You can find me on social medias. I will leave all that information in the show notes. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you come and you learn and you work with me, because it's always fun. Fitness is more fun with friends. Nutrition is more fun with friends. And, you know, a lot of the work I do is free, so you have nothing to lose by working out with me and working on this nutrition with me. All right, my loves, have a wonderful day. If you have liked this episode, I hope that you'll subscribe. I hope that you'll leave a comment. I hope that you will leave a review. Love to all and good health. Many prayers for each of you. Love ya. See you Wednesday.